Okay, experiment 1894. Nope, that is worse. That is a lot worse. It's not the worst. Eh, I'll figure it out. Onto the show. The Nezumi. Now, Nezumi are a rat, are a humanoid rat species. So they have the typical 2 legs, 2 arms, 1 head, and they are what is the term? They can speak English and they stand on 2 legs, and they are smart enough for tool use on most accounts. Now, an Azumi, when they are being generated, have +2 Constitution, but -2 Charisma. They don't seem to have the same social graces that most other species have. They will be a little bit more socially awkward, but they're going to be healthier than your average species. Now, an Izumi's base speed is 40 feet, meaning that they are also, on average, a lot quicker than your average humanoid, especially ones that are running on 2 legs. Now, Nezumi have low light vision, which is different from dark vision. So it allows them to see twice as far as a human in starlight, moonlight, torchlight, and similar conditions of poor illumination, and they retain the ability to distinguish color and detail under these conditions. So they're able to see just as well as humans, if not better, but in cases of total darkness, they are unable to see. They have a +2 racial bonus on hide and move silently checks, and against poison and disease, making them a lot more resistant to any assassinations due to their more hardy nature, and they are less likely to be hit by plagues nearly as hard. They are also naturally stealthy, allowing them to sneak around a bit more. They seem to have a more roguish archetype, which will be discussed later. Now, they are immune to the Shadowlands taint. A Nezumi can never acquire a taint score and suffer no ill effects from exposure to the Shadowlands. Effects such as a Cloud of Taint spell or special attacks of Shadowlands creatures can still harm them, however. So the Shadowlands will be discussed later once we talk about modifying Earth to fit the experiment. So that will be after all the species are done, or if I get 5,000 subscribers, whichever one happens first. Now, this immunity does not cover any spell-like effects like the Cloud of Taint spell or special attacks from creatures directly from the Shadowlands. So they will not be able to absorb the Shadowlands taint from their external environment unless it's directly forced into them in a concentrated form. Now, ratlings have sharp claws and teeth. These claws and teeth deal 1d4 points of damage, so they have natural weapons on them. But they are limited to only use them once per attack round, using either the claws or the bite. So that does not scale very well unless they gain a multi-attack feature of a fighter or something similar to that. Now, some Nezumi, when they have a wisdom score of 11 or higher, have a scent feature. So their sense of smell becomes a lot more keen, and they are able to basically smell down their surroundings. For instance, a Nezumi with a scent feat can detect opponents by sense of smell as a free action, usually when 30 feet, meaning that it doesn't custom any form of concentration. If the opponent is upwind, the range is 60 feet. If it is downwind, the range is 15 feet. And Nezumi can detect strong scents such as smoke or rotting garbage at twice these ranges. And a Nezumi can detect overpowering scents such as skunk musk or the troglodyte stench at 3 times these ranges. So, at best, a Nezumi can smell a troglodyte from over, what was it, 180 feet away on all the best conditions. Now, when a Nezumi detects another creature's presence with its sense of smell, they don't know the direction it is in. It's simply the fact that they notice that something is there. To notice the direction of descent takes them a move equivalent action, so they would have to stop and actually orient themselves towards the sense of smell. And if the Nezumi can move within 5 feet of descent source, a Nezumi can pinpoint that source, thereby mitigating any invisibility or any natural disguises like being camouflaged. And Nezumi will be able to smell that out and detect where it's coming from when they are within 5 feet. So they have a sort of bloodhound feature that's going to affect how society treats any kind of spellcaster that tries to sneak around. Now, an Nezumi can use the scent feat to track other creatures down. This does vary from case to case, but they can follow tracks using their wisdom check to find or follow a track. The typical DC for a fresh trail is 10, so they have to roll above a 10 to actually detect it. And the DC will increase or decrease depending on the conditions, like how recent the quarry's odor is, how strong it is, the number of creatures, and the age of the trail. For instance, for each hour that passes, and it is that the Nezumi isn't actively tracking that trail, the trail grows cold, becoming slightly harder to smell at a DC of 12. The DC will increase by 2. And the ability otherwise follows the rules for tracking, but since it is by scent, they don't need to take for account the surface conditions or poor visibility. A Nezumi with the scent beat can identify familiar odors, just as humans do familiar sights. So that has some implications for teleportation magic. For instance, if they are able to think of a smell of home, will that allow them to teleport there? That's something I'm going to think out, but I think it leans further towards the Nezumi's favor. Now, water, particularly running water, ruins a trail. False, powerful odors can easily mask other scents. The presence of such an odor completely spoils the ability to properly detect or identify creatures, and the base wilderness lore DC to track becomes 20 rather than 10. So, a way to avoid the Nezumis being able to track you down, for let's say a human running from the law, would be getting sprayed by a skunk. Or, for instance, crossing paths with a troglodyte, in case something along those lines. That about covers it. They do have a favorite class in Rogue, so when they're multi-classing, they won't take any XP penalties when they're taking any of the Rogue's classes. And with that, remember to like, comment, subscribe. I know I have a very small audience. This is kind of niche, but I would really appreciate it. If you have any questions, please comment down below. And with that, you have a fantastic day. Okay, fine. So Nezumi, since they are basically rat folk, I decided to place them where, let's see. So rats are generally like everywhere in the old world, including the new world. They are worldly, so I can't really base them off of that. But I can go off of their name. So the Nezumi is the Japanese name for rat. So, knowing that, I asked, where do rats usually live? Well, typically they cluster around large human made structures. So, knowing that, Nezumi are going to be going in around where Japan's cities are, which goes from here, Tokyo, this larger area right here. There we are. Down to around here. Populating this area right here should give them ample room to spread out since they are naturally hardy and hard to get rid of. That should give them permission to spread out. Since they are going to be right here, you all also notice that they will probably come into conflict with the Korobakuru from the video from lecture number 2. Okay. There we are. There. Now the rats have a home. And feel free. What are you doing back here? You drive? Nothing. Happy holidays.